Hello everyone, it's your girl Asia from our Rants channel. Welcome back to my channel. So now I know I've been a little bit of MIA, which I can explain why. Me and my family, we are in the spirit of moving. So because I've been packing up, I haven't been able to sit down and make as much videos. But today, I just feel like waking up, making a video, because yesterday I was talking to my brother about my family, and I just figured something out. This channel has really been, only wrapped around Degrassi for the majority part. I have made, videos, reviews, and rants about other shows as for like BoJack Horseman or TMNT or Avatar, Legend of Korra, you name it. I've made videos like that as such. Now, and Malcolm in the Middle. Now, Modern Family was a show that I did genuinely want to talk about on my channel, considering I just got done rewatching that not too long ago during the pandemic. And after I rewatched the show, there were so many topics that I wanted to talk about that I figured, you know what? I want to still be able to do that. I do still have the Degrassi Part 2 video on, things I love about the newer generation and things I see differently or things I didn't like. That is still coming out. You guys are going to have to bear with me because that video probably won't be out until we move into our new place and we get settled. I'm still making that. And I'm going to go see The Conjuring Last Rites this weekend. So motherfucking excited. So excited. Once I'm done watching that movie, I will come on here the next day and give my total review of the movie. If I loved it, if I feel like it was mid or meh, or if I loved it and there were some things I wish they could have cut out within the 2 hour and 15 minutes of the film. So, all of that. Those are just pretty much the announcements. Now, for today's video, it is a Modern Family video. I figured, until I leave this house, there could be some Modern Family videos I can make. So, a Modern Family topic that I really, really want to talk about is how I truly feel like Haley should have ended up with Andy. And I have my reasons why. And I'm going to also go on a side rant as well about how some fans hated that when the children got older, they didn't get storylines, or how some fans feel like they made the show too much about the adults and not about the children. I'm going to go on a side rant about that because I'm going to have to break it to you fans that it's really always been about the adults, never too much about the children. So, back to Andy and Haley. So, Haley and Andy, yes, I truly believe deep down that they should have been Endgame. Why? I feel like Andy brought out more of a maturity level to Haley that I feel like once he left you did not see. Now, I always been that type of person. I feel like when I watched Modern Family, they definitely fumbled Haley in the sense of, Haley was a teenager girl who played dumb but wasn't dumb. She couldn't be that dumb when she got into college with a nice ass SAT score. Like, she couldn't be. You feel me? Haley played dumb because she didn't really care too much for school. Like, yes, she attended and yes, she put, all her effort into school. Like, she wasn't like a straight A student like Alex, all of her books and things like that. She knew how to go to school and still have fun. With Alex, it was always test, test, test. Alex was always pushing herself to be perfect. Therefore, she never knew how to have fun, how to just not be wired. Haley knew not to be wired. She knew how to go to school, do what she needed to do, and she knew how to have fun. I was always one of those fans when I go back and watch the show now that it really pisses me off when they kicked Haley out of college. I think that was a terrible mistake because I just feel like character-wise, college could have done so much for Haley. It could have matured her. It could have made her a different person. I don't know if there was something going on backstage or whatever the case may be, because she didn't get a lot of screen time when she was in college, where I feel like that's great. I feel like Haley being gone, they could have given really more time to Alex and Luke, and they didn't. Like, I remember specifically in season 4, Alex was getting like this whole new look. She was hanging out with an emo friend who was telling her like she needed to live on the edgy side, live on the dark side a little bit, have fun. And, Alex was getting like a whole new look. I feel like Alex getting a whole new look and, not being that girl who was always to her books to where now she could skip class, skip school. That they could have done something like that. But nope. Instead, they dropped that storyline so quick before it even got started, and they brought Haley home from college. I do feel like Alex was in Haley's shadow a lot, because Haley did get a lot of storylines in the show. She did. From the moment the show started, she kind of was like the Pritchett's number one storytelling kid in the house. She had a whole relationship with Dylan, constantly breaking up with him, how Claire doesn't approve of her and Dylan's relationship. Even though it is kind of weird because Haley was 15 and Dylan was a senior. So that's that. But anyways, so yeah, Haley kind of always had, those storylines in the show. But I feel like when she went to college, she should have stayed a little bit longer. Like, she could have stayed for college for her 4 years, or, like they did, like in the show, they could have did something where she did college and in season 5, she came home due to break. I just like the show fumbled Haley when they made her not finish college. You feel me? Because when she went to college, it looked like she was mature. She was ready for that new change. Like, that's one of my favorite episodes of season 4 when they dropped her off at college and, she called her parents and told them, she loves them and she appreciates everything that they do for her, and, she's going to miss them because they're going to be going now and it's going to be different. You feel me? Those are always one of my favorite moments in the show because, these kids kind of grew up on the set and, as time went by, their fake parents kind of became their real parents. You feel me? So I just feel like the writers definitely fucked up Haley when they kicked her out of college. Now, the reason why I really love Haley and Andy is because, number one, they had some really good chemistry, and I like that it was a slow burn. Like, the second you saw Andy coming to the show, which was season 5, they didn't automatically put him and Haley in a relationship, even though they kind of was like, telling you from the beginning they're going to do something with them. Andy was, with his girlfriend named Beth. He was kind of engaged with her, things in that nature. I really feel like around, it may be season 5 or 6. I think it's season 5 when Haley was with some dude, and and when Andy was laying in the hospital, she kind of confessed, having feelings for him. And I think everything after that, it made it awkward because Andy did not want to act on his feelings due to him still being in a relationship because it would be disrespectful, which I totally agree where he's coming from. So in season 7, Andy is still, I think, engaged to Beth because in season 6, when Haley, confessed her feelings for him, in that last episode, season 6, he ran, he left. No. I think at the end of season 6, Haley was on her way to tell Andy that she loves him or that she's in love with him. And because she was talking to Phil, and Phil was able to put 2 and 2 together that Haley is in love with Andy. She has feelings for him. So Phil told her to go run to Andy, tell him how she feels before it's too late. Claire drive her to the beach, to the park, wherever the fuck Andy proposed to his girlfriend. Looked like looked like a beach pier or some shit like that. And she could see him down on one knee proposing to his girlfriend Beth. So to Haley, it was too late to say anything. But when season 7 started, it was one of the two, I think it was Phil or Claire, who told Andy that Haley was on her way to the beach to tell him how she feels about him, and it was already too late because she saw him proposing to his ex. She saw him proposing to his fiance. So I think once Andy found out, that Haley felt the same way about him, I think he realized once he proposed to his fiance, it was a mistake because he only did it because he didn't think Haley felt the same way about him. He went on like an eating bender, things like that. Like, Haley and Andy, they just were so mature. Like, I feel like he just brought out another side to her. Like, she probably was used to, guys probably constantly chasing her or things of that nature. I like that Andy treated her like a woman, not like a sex object or things of that nature. Like, season 7, Storm. It's probably one of the best episodes for them because she was like, she felt like, because they basically was keeping their whole like relationship, them seeing each other on the DL before everybody found out in White Christmas, in the White Christmas episode. So pretty much Andy was cheating on his fiance. Yes, he was. Well, no, that episode is after White Christmas, I believe so. Yeah, I think it's after White Christmas. It's been a minute since I watched this, but I believe it's right after White Christmas because White Christmas, that's when everybody found out that they was basically, having a whole relationship on the DL. But I like that Andy treated Haley like a woman. Like, she thought he was being weird because, things has been busy and she couldn't prioritize him. And she thought he still had feelings for his ex-fiance because he still had the suit or any of her other stuff in his closet. And he was like, no, he's sending those things back to her. And she said, of course, that's what it's about because she said, you won't touch me, you won't kiss me, and things of that nature. And he said he was just trying to set a really good evening, for the mood. It's raining. He wanted, to drink some champagne, just be able to talk and not make everything all about sex because that's kind of how it just started between them. It was just sex, not really sitting down and talking. And he was telling Haley, like, I don't want you to think I'm just with you due to the sexual attention. I actually want to be with you. I actually want to build something between us that is so stronger than sex. Like, I feel like Andy and Haley really should have been Endgame. Like, they really, really were fucking cute. They just made sense together. Again, I feel like Andy brought out more of a maturity side for Haley that I really love. That made her, question life and made her think about, the bigger things in life instead of the little things. And like, Haley and Andy started dating in season 9 of the show. And they broke up at episode 22. They were only together for one season. Like, if we would have got them for 2 seasons, that would have been great. But it's like the show literally started them and ended them in one season. And that's what really breaks my heart. Like, their airport scene, so fucking romantic. So cute. You cannot tell me the rain scene and the airport scene with Haley and Andy don't make you ship them. You are lying through your motherfucking teeth. You're lying. That airport scene solidified that they should have been in game, and that I thought there at least been some hope where he at least came back and, came to fight for her. But instead, they tried to fucking shove this first love bullshit down my throat. Now, if someone asks me what is a trope I'm getting tired of seeing today in this world, is you need to be with your first love. I'm really, really irritated, okay? Like, really irritated. Like, beyond irritated. Because I feel like there's a lot of people who have first loves that they did not end with. Me being one of them. I've already expressed how I felt like in one video that I feel like there's a lot of people in this world who didn't have first loves, who they're not married to, probably don't even have children with. So I don't know why in media, as far as TV shows or books, where they try to make it feel like that it's impossible for this person to love anybody else because of their first love. My thing is this. If you and your first love, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, broke up, and he pops up on the scene and you're married, or whatever the case may be, it's really given this. Are you even in love with the person you're with, or do you even have love for them for real, if your ex could show up, who was your first love, who you did everything with, can pop up and now all of a sudden make things confusing for you? That's what that is. It's confusing. Because I feel like it's not right for whoever you're with now to be caught in the middle of the confusionness of you and your ex because he's your so-called first love. How is that fair? Because it's not. I feel like today TV shows try to shove this whole first love down my throat, and I'm sick of it. That's why I kind of just hung it up with Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3. I don't care for Belly ending up with Conrad. I don't give a shit. I really don't. Jeremiah deserves so much better. Belly treated him like trash by putting him in the middle of her and Conrad. Conrad is a shitty brother. Jeremiah shouldn't have forgiven him as fast as he did. Fuck him. Fuck them both. Um, Betty is a horrible partner because she made Jeremiah feel like he had to compete for that attention, compete for her love because she'll always have a special bond with Conrad, and it's a bond that he'll never have with her because she loves him with only one half of her heart instead of her whole heart. That's not fair. And that's why I'm tired of this whole first love bullshit. Like, to me, honestly, the show, Modern Family, I don't think Haley should end up with Dylan. It made no sense. I wasn't a fan, and I don't feel like her and Dylan had chemistry. I never feel like Haley and the actor who played Dylan, I don't ever feel like they had any chemistry. There was never a scene with them that I feel like, oh, never. I feel like their relationship was very much high school, and I feel like once they broke up, they should have kept it there. That's just how I feel. The only reason why Haley ended up with Dylan is because, you know, Haley is supposed to be like another Claire, right? You know, being I guess you could say trying to grow up too fast. Like, she obviously had all of Claire's qualities. That is why Claire tried to control her, and why she was not a fan of her marrying Dylan, because Dylan represented an image of Phil, you know, the goofy boyfriend, you know, things like that. That is why she hated Dylan. That's why she never accepted Dylan, because she see him as a split image of Phil, which says a lot, because if she hate Dylan, does that mean she hate her husband? I just feel like Haley and Dylan never had any chemistry to me. Ever. Like I just said, there was never a scene with them where I was like, aw, never. Even in the scene, I think is in season 9 or 10, when she broke up with that fucking guy she was with, and, you know, Dylan dressed up as a big ass heart, you know, to show her that she's his whole heart. I mean, it was cute, but again, I don't feel anything between them, so I really couldn't say, yes, Haley should be with him and not the other dude. Because that's all Haley's character was after she broke up with Andy. She was just dating. Like, dating. She was with this fucking news reporter guy in season 8. Didn't care for her. He was trying to make her a stepmommy to his fucking 16-year-old daughter. Then she with this motherfucking British action type nigga in season 9 and 10. Whereas, like, I don't ship that either. They don't have any chemistry. And while she was with him, she kissed Dylan. Like, no. The only way I would have proved Haley and Dylan being Endgame is if they were actually consistent. They were not consistent. Because when Dylan and Haley broke up in season 7, he was gone for the entire show. You never saw him again. You never, like, anything. So, to me, I just feel like they were not consistent. Like, if you were consistent with showing the show that, yes, Dylan is, in fact, Haley's first love and he's not going anywhere, he should have always been around whenever she started a new relationship, solidifying that he is not okay with her dating other people because he is in love with her and it hurts him. They were not consistent. He was here, then he wasn't. Here, then he wasn't. And then all of a sudden he pops up in season 9. She kisses him randomly, by the way, and then she chooses to be with him, and then she gets pregnant. And I don't know if her and Dylan get married or not. I'm pretty sure they don't get married. I just don't think it makes sense for Dylan and Haley to be in game. That's just how I feel. Like I said, they try to shove this whole first love thing down your throat by saying, oh, yeah, it makes sense for Haley to be with Dylan. He was her first boyfriend, her first everything, and blah, blah, blah. It's just like, I don't give a shit about any of that. First loves are important, but I feel like last loves are even more important. Who you give your heart to, who you really want to spend the rest of your life with, that is important, and that's what I plan to do. The next person I love, I want that to be the last person I love. I'm 22 years old. I'm going to be turning 23 next year. I don't have time I don't have time for my love to be wasted on anybody. I'm 23 years old. I know what the fuck I want, and apparently that's hard to find in this world, and that's completely fine with me. I will be single for 5 more years, 10 more years, until I find what the hell I'm looking for. I want that Ella Lorraine type love from The Conjuring. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga definitely set the tone for what love should look like and what it should be. It should be genuine. It should be pure. It should be affectionate. It should be everything. Not just showing it, saying it, and acting on it. All of that is important. I want to be loved out loud. I want to be loved and not have to tell someone, oh, you don't do this, oh, you need to do that. I don't want to teach anyone how to love me because I shouldn't. You should know how to love me. I shouldn't have to give you basically a fucking duty notepad of things you have to do. That's not love. It's like you're a robot and I'm programming you how to be my boyfriend. This ain't that. I don't want that. So Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga definitely amped it up in the Conjuring movies on what love should be like. That's what I want. I want that type of love. I want to be loved out loud. I want all of it. And I feel like if I don't have it, that is fine. Because I'm not going to waste my time with someone who doesn't want, who's not going to be what I'm looking for as far in a partner, and a lifetime partner as that. So I just feel like, you know, Haley and Andy should have been Endgame, and I feel like the show really fumbled their bag by not making Haley and Andy Endgame because, okay, I see him leaving to go do his dream job, but it's like, damn, he don't ever come back, and, you know, like, damn, like, the show really, really fumbled not having Haley and Andy Endgame. Me and my brother both agreed that they both should have been Endgame. And this is coming from someone, my brother don't even care about relationships for real and TV shows and all that shit. He don't care about relationships, but he really, really wanted Haley and Andy to be Endgame because to me and him, it just made sense for her character. Like I said, she got kicked out of college, and I feel like her being with Andy, someone who was mature, who had his life together, who knew what he wanted, and basically had everything planned out. And yes, it might have got different once he met Haley, but he wanted her in those plans. He wanted her in his life. He loved her. Even in their short period of time of relationship, he loved Haley. Haley loved him. They should have been fucking Endgame. Like I said, if their airport scene don't make you feel they should have been Endgame, you are lying to your motherfucking teeth, and that's just how I feel. Haley and Andy should have been Endgame, not Haley and Dylan. Haley and Andy should have had that. They should have had the whole him coming back, fighting for her love, her taking him back. They should have had the children. They should have had the marriage. That's what they should have had, not Haley and Dylan. I'm sorry, I just don't agree with the whole, oh, your first love should be your last love. Stop shoving it down my throat and thinking I should accept it as a viewer because I think it's bullshit. Completely bullshit. I think it's completely bullshit. Not the first person you love is going to be the last person you end up with. Ask anybody around the world, is it the first person that they love is the last person they end up with on this planet? Some people are going to tell you yes. Some are going to tell you no. Because that is just fucking life. Period. Now, a side rant that I want to go on is fans feeling irritated that the show was too focused on the adults and not the children. I feel like you could not watch Modern Family for 11 seasons and say that you feel like you hate that it was more about the adults. The show has always been more about the adults than the children, in my opinion, especially when I went back and watched the show. I feel like the children were interesting when they were young. Once the children got older, they really were not as interesting, and all of their plots were either one-dimensional or not consistent. Like with Manny, I feel like when Manny went to college, he should have stayed there. Like, to me, it didn't make sense that he was in college, then he wasn't. It's like, damn, is he on break every time? It's like, why isn't he at college? Like, I'm talking about in the season he left, which is, I think he went to college in season 9, if I'm not mistaken. Manny went to college in season 9. So, pretty much when he went to college, he was always at home. So I'm just thinking like, okay, I'm pretty sure to attend college you have to go to campus. You can't do classes or know what your professor or your teacher is teaching if you're constantly home. I understand if, you know, he couldn't get used to the changes of being away from Jay and Gloria. Completely fine if you feel like he needed to come home every once in a while. But Manny was home damn near the entire season for seasons 9, 10, and 11. And he didn't go back to college until season 11. And he talked about he going to college in France? Are you kidding me? So it's like, what the hell he been doing for his 1 year of college? Staying home? I feel like when Manny got older, nothing really changed about his character. And you know what's so crazy to me? Everybody say, oh, younger Manny was so funny. Younger Manny not when I go back and watch the show, I like Manny, but I never really found his character to be funny. I feel like Manny was very female centered. I feel like the only storylines you really got with him was when, he's obsessed with another girl or he's trying to get with another girl. Like, that was mainly his character. He was very mature for his age. He was very wise. He was able to sit down and have full-fledged conversations with Claire and Jay as if he was a 40-something-year adult, even though he was like 8 or 10 years old. He was very young and mature, very mature for his age. But what pisses me off is that people say when he got older, he stopped being funny and he just wasn't himself. First of all, Manny has never been someone who was ever interested in sports or any of that stuff. So to say once he got older, he's still whiny, he's whiny all of a sudden, he's complaining. Manny has always been that way. Like, he's tried to be something that he's not, but it never works because that is just not who he is. Me personally, I feel like it has to be in the moment. Manny can either make me laugh or not. But I feel like when I go back now, he never was really a kid who cracked me up. I feel like the funniest kid to me was really a tie between Lily or Luke. Lily cracked me the hell up when she was younger. When she got older, didn't really get as much attention. She was very neglected by Cam and Mitchell. They weren't the best parents to Lily when she got older. And I don't know if it's because she was a girl, so they didn't know how to say things or necessarily know how to raise her. But again, those are storylines that they abandoned and never tried to do. Like, when Lily got her first period in season 10, that was a situation that that was a situation that Cam and Mitchell had no experience with because they're not women, so they don't know how to tell her what to like getting her first cycle or telling her she need a tampon or that she need a pad. Like, they don't have any experience with that. But Lily doesn't have a relationship with any of her female counterparts in her family. She doesn't have a relationship with Haley, Alex, Gloria, or Claire. Even though when she was a baby, she had a really big relationship with Gloria, but that stopped once she got older. So again, it's kind of like she can't even go to them about her problem as far as getting her first period because she's not close with them. You feel me? And I don't know. I feel like when Lily got older, they definitely mistreated her. By mistreatment, I mean the writers. Like, the writers could have done so much more as far as her, growing up, adolescence, as far as, like, being a teenager and being a teenager girl at that with two homosexual parents who are, fathers who are men who don't really know too much about the women's body. And, she feels like she can't talk to them because they can't relate to her. Those are storylines they really could have, hit home with, but they decided to abandon them and never do them and really spend most of her time in her bedroom, not speaking or not doing anything at all. So I feel like as much as I didn't care for Lily when she got older because the writers didn't give her anything, at the same time, I wish they really would have. But I feel like it was a tie between her and Luke as the funniest kid when they were younger. Luke and Lily when they were younger would crack me up. Lily was very sarcastic. She was a brat. She was just funny as fuck for the most part. She definitely was one of those characters who cracks you up as a child. And I feel like Luke's silliness and, not thinking before he does things was hilarious. Now, when Luke got older, they did make him like another split image of Manny. Constantly horny, only cares about girls. I feel like when Luke got older, they ripped away anything that was likable about his character, and he stopped having a relationship with Phil once he got older, which was something I really, really despised because him and Phil's relationship when he was younger was a relationship on the show I really, really loved. But when he got older, they said, fuck it. I don't know, Luke's character when he got older just didn't feel the same. And he was another kid as well who didn't get any plots that were interesting to me. That I just feel like, meh, shoulder shrug. And Alex, poor Alex. Poor Alex. They neglected the hell out of Alex. She had middle child syndrome. She was like Dewey 2.0 from Malcolm in the Middle. No one ever knew that she was around. No one paid attention to any of her after school activities. No one cared for her. Like, there's literally a scene in the show where I think Haley's sitting on the couch and, Claire's just staring at her trying to figure out what the hell she's going to do with her life and not just sit on the couch. Phil is saying, hey, should we check up on Alex? You know, she's really pushing herself really hard for this test. Claire look at Alex, and Alex is like literally bumping into walls and shit because she hasn't had any sleep. She gonna say she'll be fine. Our focus should be on Haley right now. Basically signifying she does not give a fuck about Alex. Signifying that Alex is very, very neglected. Now, that is the show's fault. The show gave her middle child syndrome. Because just like Dewey was the last child up until they had their other son. I don't even know his name. What the fuck is their last son name in Malcolm in the Middle? I have no clue. Anywho, Dewey was their last child until Lois and Hal had their other kid. Dewey was the smartest kid, BTW. He was the smartest kid on the show, and he was very neglected as well. Dewey had no childhood memories. He had no photos taken of him as a baby. Nothing. Dewey was literally fed scraps as a child. Literally, just like Alex, there's a scene literally in Malcolm in the Middle where Dewey came to the whole family about his music recital, and they're all talking about the whole house situation as far with the feds and things like that. He said, who's going to make it to my music recital? Everybody pretends like they don't hear him. They continue on with their conversation. He took out his notebook and said, I guess it'll just be me and everybody who cares about me, and wrote his name down. Dewey was very neglected. And as much as I fuck with Lois and Hal, but for their reasonings to be why they neglected Dewey is because by the time he was born, they had already had 3 children that they didn't feel like capturing memories for their last 2 children. That is fucked up parenting, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Period. And I just feel like poor Alex, like, she definitely could have gotten better storylines for the show. She is definitely misunderstood, mistreated by her entire family, by the writers, by everyone, because they treated her like the ugly duckling when it came to writing. Like, they thought if they made her whole personality all about books, the fans will eventually come around. I think them making her only personality all about books and studies and things like that is where they fucked up at, because besides her constantly striving to be perfect, Alex is also a human. And I think Under Pressure is probably one of the best episodes for her character, because if you're someone like me who didn't care for Alex, when you watch the Under Pressure episode, when she's sitting down in therapy explaining that she is different from her family, and because she's different, she always feels like she's left out, but she doesn't know why she strives to be perfect. She doesn't know where that drive comes from. She has no idea. Her family don't understand either, because none of them are like her. None of them are like her. So I feel like Under Pressure was a really good episode to look into with Alex, but at the same time, they still butchered her character, because again, they gave her that episode and she went back to doing nothing. Poor Alex. And then Haley, y'all already know how I feel about Haley. Kind of just expressed it just now. They fumbled when they kicked her out of college, and then they made her whole arc just about dating. When I feel like after she got kicked out of college, her last relationship should have been with Andy, but unfortunately they didn't want to do that. They had her date 2 other guys that I don't remember that she was with, and then they randomly put her with Dylan. Are you fucking kidding me? That is how I generally feel about the children. I feel like the children were all interesting when they were younger, and once they got older, it was kind of like you feel me? Like all the kids had at least an interesting storyline when they were younger. Luke, Manny, Alex, Haley. And then the only storyline I liked with Haley when she got older was with Andy, and then when they dropped that, I didn't care for her character anymore, because it's like, they made her character date. That was really all her character. Manny kind of was just there. He didn't really do anything for me. Luke was just there. Alex was kind of just there. Lily neglected. So for those who say, oh, they made the show too much about the adults, I have to really say, again, you cannot watch the show for 11 seasons and just say, oh, they make it too much about the adults. The show has always been about the adults and their dynamics as far as when it comes to them being parents, partners, whatever you could think of. So what I can't say that the show could have done better once the kids grew up. Obviously, they thought these kids were obviously not going to age, and they didn't know what storylines to write for them. I can say that. But the show has always been about the adults. So just my opinion. And anyways, it is always nice talking to you guys. This is my video for today. I will catch you on my other one, and it was nice talking to y'all.